A land built towards greatness, now shattered like an egg. This is the Chronicles. In the Genesis, January 1st, 1960, Angola got its freedom, and 11th of February 1961, Cameroon and Angola became brothers in a referendum. Like Le Coupé and Maningo to exist in confederation, 63 years later, the blood of the innocent shed to pay the price of our forefathers' mistakes, the price of their choices. Was it the we or yes? First, they said it was Boko Haram from the north. From being the jihad of Usman Dan Fodio, nowhere is safe. Saturday, 9 September 2017. Teachers, lawyers, they said, I recall leaving school for home that day, naively so jovial, because we thought it was a strike to strive for our future strides, a fight to fight for our future fights. But then, the first blood spilled on a land our forefathers bore with their blood for liberation, in shadows of history's cruel reign. When the missionaries came to Africa, they had the Bible and we had the land. They said, let us pray. We closed our eyes open. We had the Bible and they had the land. We bear the weight of mental chains. Colonial masters physically gone but mentally present. Our voices echo songs of freedom. Generations bound by unseen bars, struggling to break free from scars. They suppressed our cultural richness and traditions, buried the turmoil in our brains and called it independence. Just the flag independence indeed.
My body, we not go fit to catch my soul.
But from the depths of resilient flames, our spirit ignites, that which refuses to tame the Bernard von Lund generation, descendants of a great Mia Shaw, Africa's intellectual and prince of peace. From Cameroon in the heart of Africa, a man who believed in unity before diversity, a people politically divided but economically and developmentally united, decolonized and washed off Eurocentrism. I am no crusader for the things English. I do not worship English. I worship Lamso, for that is my identity. Just as them foot beat their blades and hit the drums to the rhythms of my ancestors within my soul, rethinking the African philosophy of education. If the first language of a child from birth is their mother tongue, education will greatly ameliorate, in the words of Ngugi wa Thiong'o. This is the move of Professor Bernard Sokika von Lund, also known as the genuine intellectuals, not the Lion King's dream, but the Martin Luther King's dream. Africa rise, retelling your own stories in resilience and resistance. Africans reclaim what was once theirs and even more. Why fight against each other? Why take the life of a brother, sister, mother, or child? The war would end. The leaders would shake hands. But the old woman will keep waiting for her brave son. The young girl will keep waiting for her beloved husband. That boy would endlessly wait for his mother. Those children will wait for their heroic father. I do not know who sold our homeland, but I saw who paid the price.
Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to News Talk with yours truly, Chris Ano, coming to you as usual from the great state of Texas, precisely Houston, Texas. It's a privilege to be back with you here tonight with information that I believe is illuminating, educative, and of course, always entertaining as usual. Please, if you are joining by way of the social media, we have changed our Facebook page just last week. And so if you are watching by way of Facebook, do us the favor, go ahead, hit the share button. Let those who are still on the old platform know we are now on a new platform. So hit that share button, invite someone to join you. And if you are watching by way of YouTube, do the same. Hit the share button, send the link out, let somebody know the anchor man is not live. He is indeed alive. I am alive. You can see me talking, right? Okay, so please go ahead and do that. This is going to be very, very exciting. And those of you watching by way of satellite in all of Africa, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I'd like to welcome all of you from the continental USA, including Canada, South America, of course, the continental Europe, the far and the near east. Whoever divided them to be far and near, they are all of the east. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Please, I will be right back. Do not touch your remote. In a second, I will be back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Tonight, I will be bringing you information on what is happening in the Ebola. Some images came into me this afternoon from Ebola showing the Beti Bulu picking up arms against the Bamilekis in La République du Cameroon. Many people have talked about an uprising, a revolution about taking place in La République du Cameroon. We have seen incidences taking place in the north, what they call the Grand North. And today we find images emerging from Ebola, the call center of the Beti Bulu center in La République du Cameroon, again picking up arms against Bamilekis. Whatever is the reason, I have no idea. It's a developing story. We will stay on it, but I will bring you a commentary on that. And then, info. I got a little story for you. I hope you will take that home. You listen to it, and you take that home. Of course, Atam Milan will be joining me for an exclusive interview on what he calls the pro-independence caucuses. Pro-independence caucuses, that will be the main subject of the day. Please, do not touch your remote. Do not touch your remote. When I come back, I will go right into the stories. Thank you.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com.
All right, thank you for staying put, ladies and gentlemen. At this moment, I will take you to the main stories of the day. And the first place I take you to is Betty Land. Betty Land, where so much has been going on there, talking about the Bettys and the Bulus picking up arms, fighting Bamilekis all of La République du Cameroon. Whatever escalation that is about taking place in La République du Cameroon, only God alone knows. Reports emerging from La République du Cameroon indicate that members of the Beti Bulu ethnic group have taken up arms against the Bamilekis, signaling what could be the early stages of an all-out ethnic conflict. The details are still coming in. But what is certain is that Cameroon, already burdened with multiple conflicts, may now, ladies and gentlemen, be sliding into an unprecedented phase of internal strife. For 42 years, the Beti Bulu elite, under the leadership of Paul Biya, have dominated Cameroon's political economic landscape, consolidating power and wealth while marginalizing other ethnic groups in the country. This has bred significant resentment, particularly among the Bamilekis, a group known for its economic prowess and historical political resistance. The Beti Bulu faction has long harbored fears that a Bamileke president could overturn their decades-old stranglehold on power, and they have repeatedly declared, both privately and popularly, that no Bamileke will be allowed to rule from A to D. This latest violent escalation in Ebolowa may well be the result of these anxieties, reaching a boiling point as the country moves closer to its next presidential election scheduled for later this year. The looming question is, will Cameroon descend into widespread ethnic conflict as different factions scramble for control over the post-Paul Biya era? What is particularly alarming, ladies and gentlemen, is the inaction of the security forces in that country, particularly the gendarmerie, who reportedly stood by and watched as the violence unfolded in Ebolowa. This raises critical concerns about whether these forces, historically loyal to the Beti Bulu establishment, will actively participate in suppressing or allowing targeted ethnic violence to serve the interests of the ruling class. This is reminiscent of past conflicts in Africa where state-backed forces, they either turn a blind eye to ethnic cleansing or directly participated in it. If Cameroon's armed forces fail to act impartially, the country could see widespread, and I mean widespread, massacres and ethnic purges, especially in regions where Bamilekis are in the minority. And remember, we're not talking about Ambazonia here. Maurice Kamto, the de facto leader of the Bamileke political opposition, must now recognize the existential threat his people face. For years, he has been the primary Bamileke figure challenging the Paul Biya's regime. But his strategy of legal opposition has done little, and I mean zero, to shake the deep-rooted Beti Bulu control of power. This violence in Ebolowa should serve as a wake-up call. A wake-up call. Kamto can no longer afford to make empty declarations about wanting to be president, while his people face extermination in Betty Bulu strongholds. You must either mobilize a robust defense mechanism or prepare for an onslaught that could permanently alter the demographic and political landscape of La République du Cameroon. Why this crisis is deeply troubling, it pales in comparison to the atrocities, the killings committed against the people of Ambazonia by the forces of La République du Cameroon. For years, Ambazonians have been slaughtered, imprisoned, and displaced with little international outrage. The Bamileki now find themselves facing the same brutality that Ambazonians have endured for nearly decades, and I mean decades. If they do not take decisive action, they may face similar consequences: displacement, extermination, and political irrelevance. If the Betty Bulu elite are willing to instigate ethnic conflict to maintain their grip on power, Cameroon could soon witness a Rwanda-like scenario where state-sponsored ethnic purges lead to mass atrocities. The months ahead will be crucial as La République du Cameroon inches towards another election season or cycle, with rising uncertainties about Bia's succession. If this violence is not addressed immediately, and I mean immediately, it could spiral into full-scale ethnic warfare with devastating consequences for the entire country. The international community must take note. Cameroon is on the verge of collapse. If Ebola is a glimpse of what is to come, then the months ahead will be marked by bloodshed, political assassinations, and ethnic purges, all in the name of preserving a dying regime. That is it about Ebola, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring you the footages emerging from that locality. We could barely blur the one you find on your screen because of so much blood that you can find in the background. We couldn't bring the entirety of the footage because probably we'll be shut down for showing, presenting blood on the live television. But what took place in Ebola is a shameful thing for a state that is, that wants the international community to know everything, and I mean everything is just okay. Everything is not okay. I will be right back into my second monologue, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight. Please stay put and keep on hitting your share button.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I now take you to my next presentation that has to do with the kind of reporting that I consider very sloppy of someone who is known or calls herself a professional in the business of journalism. And I am here referring to the face you find on your screen, Mimi Mefo. Ambazonians must exercise extreme caution when consuming news reports from Mimi Mefo Info. This is not a personal attack on Mimi Mefo's person, but an indictment of her journalistic practices, where she has demonstrated commitment in covering stories from La République du Cameroon and the war in Ambazonia. The unfortunate reality is that her reports are consistently poorly researched, sloppy, misleading, and dangerously irresponsible. The most recent example was her reporting on an incident that took place in Pinyin just last week. A group of known kidnappers and extortionists were apprehended by the local population, who, fed up with their criminal acts, decided to take action. In clear video footage, the people can be heard loudly identifying these criminals as individuals who had extorted money from their families. It was widely acknowledged that these individuals were not Ambazonia restoration fighters and had no ties at all to the restoration fighters. Yet, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, Mimi Mefo reported outright that these were Ambazonian fighters, adding that the population was actively chasing out Ambazonian fighters from the community. Nothing could be further from the truth. Such blatant distortion of facts is not just irresponsible, it is dangerous journalism. True Ambazonian restoration fighters do not engage in kidnapping and extortion, and the movement has consistently condemned such acts of kidnappings and extortions. Yet, through her reckless reporting, Mimi Mefo played directly into the hands of the oppressors, reinforcing a false narrative designed to delegitimize the Ambazonian cause. By failing to distinguish between criminals and freedom fighters, Mimi Mefo unwittingly contributes to the misinformation campaign waged by the Paul Biya's regime and its supporters. It is the duty of every journalist, every reporter, publisher, especially one with a significant following to ensure accuracy and integrity in their reporting. Failing to do so reduces them to nothing more than propagandists and fake news peddlers. Mimi Mefo's continued pattern of rushed, unverified reporting is not just an effort to hurt the truth, it is a betrayal of the very people she claims to be reporting for. Journalism must be about facts, not about reckless narratives that serve to undermine the struggle of the oppressed. Ambazonians cannot stand idly by while individuals who command large followings use their platforms to spread misinformation in the guise of news. If Mimi Mefo wants to be taken seriously as a publisher or journalist, she must hold herself to the highest standards of research and verification. Otherwise, she will continue to be viewed as an enabler of propaganda, of fake news, working against the interests of the very people she wants to inform. No one, ladies and gentlemen, no one should tolerate disinformation disguised as journalism. We appreciate Mimi Mefo's efforts in covering the conflict in Ambazonia and elsewhere, but her reporting must be based on verifiable facts, not what is commonly known as yellow journalism. As a publisher, she must question her reporters rigorously and ensure that her reports reflect reality, not conjectures. Events that have taken place should be reported with factual accuracy, especially when there is video footage and other concrete evidence available for verification. And that is that under Mimi Mefo, ladies and gentlemen. When I come back, I will delve into the subject of the day, the exclusive interview of the day with Milan Atam. Please stay put and do not touch your remote. And please, if you are on the social media, YouTube, Facebook, keep on hitting your share button. Thank you.
Thrive America, the flagship model, offers personalized coaching and assistance to newly arrived individuals into the country through a concierge service and one-stop resource on your phone. The app supports essential areas of integration, such as job search strategies, benefits applications, financial literacy, credit repair, legal guidance, and more. The platform aims to become the go-to resource as you navigate the complexities of settling into a new country. Thrive America, the flagship model, offers personalized coaching and assistance to newly arrived individuals into the country through a concierge service and one-stop resource on your phone. The app supports essential areas of integration, such as job search strategies, benefits applications, financial literacy, credit repair, legal guidance, and more. The platform aims to become the go-to resource as you navigate the complexities of settling into a new country. Thrive America, the flagship model, offers personalized coaching and assistance to newly arrived individuals into the country through a concierge service and one-stop resource on your phone. The app supports essential areas of integration, such as job search strategies, benefits applications, financial literacy, credit repair, legal guidance, and more. The platform aims to become the go-to resource as you navigate the complexities of settling into a new country. Thrive America.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying put. At this moment, I'm going to take you to my main subject of the day, which has to do with my interview with Milan Atam on the creation of the pro-independence caucuses, as he calls them. But before I bring him, Milan, I'd like to bring you my short monologue on that subject. Milan Atam's recent unveiling of what he calls pro-independence caucuses has ignited a wave of scrutiny and concern among Ambazonians. In a statement announcing the Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, that binds these caucuses, Milan presents the initiative as a new platform for achieving the independence of Amazonia. However, a closer analysis reveals troubling contradictions and unanswered questions that cast doubt on the true intentions of this formation. At the heart of the issue is the ideological composition of these caucuses. Milan claims to be pro-independence, yet he deliberately incorporated federalist and civil society groups into the structure. These factions, by their very nature, adhere to a fundamentally different vision of the future. Federalists advocate for a restructured Cameroon, not a sovereign Amazonia. Civil society groups, mostly based on ground zero, while often vocal in their opposition to the excesses of the Cameroonian government, have historically, ladies and gentlemen, positioned themselves within a framework that acknowledges Cameroon's oneness. The question that naturally arises is, how can groups with such divergent views and objectives be expected to work together effectively? Could the federalists and civil society actors merely be distractions meant to dilute the independence quest? Or is Milan attempting a more calculated deception? Additionally, the existence of an already well-established network of pro-independence organizations in the Consultative Commission of Amazonia begs another crucial question. Why has Milan chosen to create a separate initiative instead of aligning with the existing structure being put together? The Ambazonian movement has long been defined by the resilience and unity of purpose of the independentist factions determined to liberate their homeland. If Milan's motives were purely about strengthening the movement, would it not have been more prudent to join forces with those already engaged in unity and collaboration? That is the question that many out there are asking. Instead, his decision to carve out an independent space suggests a bid for personal ambition rather than a genuine commitment to the cause. Equally perplexing is the composition of these caucuses. Apart from Milan himself, who exactly are the members of the pro-independent caucuses? Who are the members? We know the caucuses, but who are the members and the leaders? Who constitute the Federalist Caucus and the Civil Society Caucus? But more perhaps importantly, how do these groups define their ultimate objectives, and are they truly unified in purpose? If they are, what is that purpose? Given the fundamental ideological conflict among these factions, Milan is in the position to clarify how he intends to manage their differences while still steering towards the goal of full independence for the people of Ambazonia. Without such clarity, this initiative appears more like a breeding ground for more confusion than a strategic step towards independence. Beyond its structural inconsistencies, the initiative also raises deeper concerns about Milan's ultimate agenda. Is he trying to position himself as a central authority within the movement, the independent movement, at a time when true collectiveness is the goal? Is this a maneuver designed to sideline the existing actors of the struggle, thereby weakening the fight for independence? Could it be, ladies and gentlemen, that Milan's strategy is less about securing independence and more about brokering a settlement that falls short of the aspirations of the people of Ambazonia talking about independence? These are critical concerns that demand transparent answers. Ambazonians have a right to understand the exact roadmap that Milan envisions for these caucuses. What guarantees are in place to prevent federalism, or call it autonomy, within one Cameroon from becoming the goal? How does this initiative serve the independence struggle without compromising its core principles? Unless these issues are adequately addressed, the pro-independence caucuses, or caucus, may well just be another diversion that shows further division rather than strengthening the resolve for Ambazonia's sovereignty. For this reason, I invited Atam Milan to the show today, ladies and gentlemen, to provide some clarity to the questions being asked here. You will be presented with these questions and given the opportunity to provide unambiguous answers. The Ambazonian people deserve illumination and truth when people show up with new fronts to lead them. And we must uncover them. In that, ladies and gentlemen, is my monologue on this subject. I am now being joined by Atam Milan. Oh, I think he is frozen. Milan, if you can, I believe you can hear me, please just quickly log back out and log back in so we can establish a clear connection for you. If you can hear me. Sorry about that. I think it has to do with the connection at your end. Quickly do that. Log back out. Log back immediately in using the same connection link. And let's get started. But that was my monologue, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, after the interview, we're going to open the phone lines to have you call in. Ask Milan any question that you may have to ask. I'm waiting for him to log back in, and I hope he succeeds to log back. He was logged in and looked quite good, but apparently I think it has to do with the network at his end.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Milan, but the image is not good. I believe you can see it. You look frozen on the screen here. It was looking 100% when you connected. 100% good when you connected. It's kind of fuzzy now. Again, try to see you can log out and log back in. Log out, disconnect, and reconnect using the same login information, please. All right. Again, we will open the phone lines after the interview to take your calls, take your questions, so that Milan can take them. The questions will not be coming just from me, but I want it to come from you too, especially if you are Amazonian looking forward for independence. That looks perfect, sir. Milan, it's a great pleasure to have you joining me today from the Republic of South Africa. Good to have you, sir. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm saying it's great to
Okay.
have you joining from South Africa. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Christopher. Thanks for this opportunity to talk about the Southern Cameroon's caucuses. But before I begin, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the members of the Southern Cameroon's Alliance, as well as the members of the caucuses, the pro-independence caucus, the pro-federalism caucus, and the civil society caucus. Because I think it's been over a year, exactly 13 months that we've been working on this project. And I have seen real leadership over the past year. One way of evaluating that is that the public is only getting to know what we've been working on now, whereas
Right.
this has been work that has been going on for a year and not a single whisper has filtered. And I think that comes with a lot of maturity, with loyalty and leadership. So I just thought I should take the advantage and thank them very much for this. So here we are, and thanks for the platform. Over to you, Christopher.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's go right into it. Tell our audience, you mentioned that this platform has been in the making for about a year now. Share with us, because Milan, you know that you were from day one very engaged in this struggle for Ambazonia's independence. In fact, from the consortium moving to the diaspora, you have caucus and all those other movements, to the governing council, to the interim government. You were one of the architects of all of this. Suddenly, after Sisiko was picked up, you kind of disappeared, and now you have reappeared with this Southern Cameroon Alliance and the pro-independent caucuses. Give us a little background. What has been going on, please?
Well, I thought that I had been suspended from the struggle, so I have had to serve my 7-year sentence, isn't it?
Who suspended you?
Oh, you don't remember? Anyway,
No, I don't.
let's move on. Let's move on. The
All
key
right.
thing, I think the most important thing, and if I've accepted to be part of this conversation today, is because I think it's important, Christopher, that we get to apprise our people of what we are doing. And I like to use an analogy, because analogies usually make a lot more sense than all the bickering that happens on social media and on the general media. Look at it this way. For the past 60 years, in fact, 64 years, our people have been held in bondage. We went into a relationship that ended up being a fraud, a scam. And throughout these 64 years, our people have systematically tried to rectify the situation. If you start from around 1964, 1966, when the likes of Bernard Fondon started to whisper and say, hey, something is not right here. We went into a relationship, and what we are seeing is not a reflection of the relationship that we went into. That costed him being pushed out and sent into exile. Then the later years with Bobengom Joa, and moving into the 70s, until 1972, when Ahijo committed his fraud, the coup d'etat, by carrying out what he called a referendum from the Federal Republic to the United Republic of Cameroon. And ultimately, 1984, when Mr. Biya took the decision unilaterally to change the form of the state back to La République du Cameroun. By doing that, he basically seceded from that relationship, whatever the relationship was. There's been lots of debates. Was it a legal relationship, illegal? It doesn't matter. The bottom line was that there was a cessation. Now, over these years, and from 1984, Fon Gorji Dinka, and later on the others, the SCNC in the 90s, took over and said, we need to rectify the situation. That has not ameliorated. It has only worsened over time until 2016 when it exploded. And into 2017, it became an all-out war. Now, our people are sitting with a situation where we have to decide what we want to do with this bondage in which we find ourselves. And I will argue that we've got three main streams of arguments. The first are those people who have gotten into bed with the Yaoundé regime. They are very happy. They are living the lives they like, they prefer. And so they find no problem in the status quo. And that's what they call, that's why you have the likes of Atanganji then come out and say, there is no Anglophone problem. You have a second group that says, we are not happy with the status quo. We hate the idea that we are sitting in such a situation. We want a change. We are going to move. However, we are going to leave Yaoundé. We don't want to be part. The fact that we were bundled and taken to Yaoundé was wrong. We want to go back home. But our journey is going to go only as far as the Mongo Bridge. We want to go across the Mongo Bridge and settle there on the west side of the Mongo. Our intention is to ensure that in as much as we run our own affairs on our side of the border, we ensure that the bridge is not burnt, is not broken. We still want a relationship between ourselves and our brothers on the other side. But they will stay on the other side of the Mongo and we on this side. That's the second group. And you have a third group that says, no. Stopping on the Mongo Bridge or on the other side of the Mongo Bridge is not enough. We want to go all the way to Boya. And as soon as we cross that bridge, we are burning it down so that there is no bridge between the two borders. The argument that because somebody wants to go only as far as the Mongo Bridge and cross it over, that makes him an opposition to the movement is wrong. That person also wants a movement. It only happens that his movement is limited to where he wants to end it, while the other wants to go all the way. That, in my opinion, is an analogy of the three key strains that characterize our liberation struggle at the moment. The one strain that is opposed to our movement, and that's why they are static and want to stay in their own day. That you can call it an opposing force because it's not moving. One is the force that wants to move, but it wants to move to a limited extent. And the third is a force that wants to move all the way. Those are the three strands. Now, what we have done over the past year is basically look at our struggle and say, where are we? And as the alliance, the Southern Cameroon's alliance, we took the decision that we are not going to sit in the diaspora and decide what we think is the situation on the ground or in the diaspora. We will consult. And I'm sure most of our people know that last year, through the first part of the year, last year around May or June, we carried out a survey to consult our people and find out what is their reading of the situation. So our action and what we have done up until now is not based on some talk on social media. It's based on empirical evidence of consultation with the people. That survey was very consistent with other surveys that have happened over the past years. Cardinal Tumi conducted a survey that clearly indicated that the vast majority of our people want independence. The CDN conducted a survey that indicated that the vast majority of our people, 80% and above, want independence. The Southern Cameroon's Alliance conducted a survey that indicated that the vast majority of our people want independence. That was June of last year. Based on that, we then looked at what the people were saying. One thing was clear. All the noise about storming and taking our people out of bondage without a strategy was not working. The past 7 years have failed woefully in terms of what we are trying to achieve. And part of the reason why it has failed has been the politics of exclusion. Some people sitting and saying, oh, I have dismissed you from the struggle. or saying politics of exclusion has not helped us, or saying because you are federalist, it means you are against the struggle. You would recall, for many who are watching, that at the very beginning of the struggle, I always talked about the importance of broadening our circle of friends and lessening our circle of enemies. Unfortunately, the past 7 or 8 years have been characterized by people excluding as many people as possible, hoping that somehow by excluding everybody, they are going to arrive in. I don't know
So
if they will
when
arrive
you
in
use
there
the
alone.
phrase, when you use the phrase our people, excluding our people, who are these people you are referring to? Are you referring to the
Number one,
federalists, the one Cameroonese, which can also fall within the realm of the civil society? Because every independentist is doing his own thing, right?
our people, number one. And when you say who do you mean by our people? Everybody who is Southern Cameroonian constitutes our people. And I think the mistake that a lot of the front runners have made over the past 7 years is the belief that because I am independentist, I am going to make decisions on behalf of everybody. It's just not going to work. It's every single Southern Cameroonian will play a role, whether that role is negative or positive. Now, what we need to do is to consolidate around those who are moving in the same direction. And the more we have people moving in the same direction, we are building a wave that is big enough
So
to
talking
counter the
about
regime.
moving in, I mean, people moving in the same direction, how can you categorize federalists who want one Cameroon in some autonomy or whatever, moving to the same direction with you and I who say Ambazonia must gain independence?
I have just explained that there are different levels of destinations, right? I think I gave an analogy. The federalist who says, I want to go as far as the Mongo Bridge is not against the struggle. He just happens to be limited in terms of where he wants to take the struggle. That is an ally. You don't push away allies, you bring them on board because they are useful. When the TPLF wanted independence in Eritrea, they realized that by being Eritreans alone, there is no way they were going to defeat the, the Ethiopian government, the DERC. So what did they do? They went into an alliance, no, not the TPLF, the EPLF. They went into an alliance with the TPLF, which is the Tigray People's Liberation Front, to say we can only defeat the DERC in Addis Ababa by working together. Our agendas may not be the same. I want to go to Asmara and form my own country. You want to go to Addis Ababa and be part of Ethiopia. It's okay as long as we understand.
We
what our
understand that
destiny
because we have
are.
very well articulated the destinations. Your destination and the destination of a federalist, they are not the same. They are very completely different. So how
No, they're
do
not
they end?
opposed to each other. I disagree.
Yeah,
There is a difference
if you
between
use the
somebody
word
who
close to
says,
each other, possible. If you say they are the same,
so that's an ally.
we say no. That's
That's an
another
ally.
thing entirely.
No,
Different
that's,
destinations.
that's an ally. Whoever is going in the same direction is an ally. And who is an ally to me? Whoever is fighting against the regime, whoever is not happy with the status quo, whoever is going to join us to defeat the regime is an ally, and you need allies. I will pose the question back to you. For the past 7 years of exclusion, what have we achieved?
I would like to answer that question. I think that is not an accurate statement that anybody has been excluded. I, for one, I believe in the opinion put out there by federalists. I will not oppose them. I have had a lengthy discussion with Dr. Simon Monzo, and I asked him, listen, we don't have a problem with federalists. The problem is, the only problem is with them, because for 8 years of the conflict, they think the independentists is their problem. Whereas we have not seen what they have articulated. If I ask you today who is trying to work with them, what do federalists want? 10 states, 2 states, 4 states? 3 states? None of us can tell because we don't know what they stand for. That is the only problem that I have with them. They do a lot of talking and you don't know the direction they are going to. Maybe you talking to them, you know their direction. Can you explain to us?
So let me break it down like this. Number one, as long as they are against the regime and they want to change, they are an ally. We can use them.
But
And
what
like
is
they
their
can use
roadmap?
to defeat
What
the
is
regime.
their
No,
roadmap?
let me come to that. That's number one. Number two, it's true that you might talk to different federalists who have got different opinions of where they want to go. Do they want 4 states? Do they want 2 states? Do they want 10 states? That's another debate. But the key thing is that they want a change from the status quo. You need an ally. And like I asked, for 7 years, we have not been able to defeat the regime. We need allies to defeat the regime. Then the next question will be posed. What form and system do we want in place? That form and system will be determined by every Southern Cameroonian. And that's where a referendum comes in. When you pull a referendum in place, you're not going to exclude somebody because he's a federalist. But the advantage we have is that consistently we have had surveys which have proven clearly that the vast majority of our people want independence. So we are not going into this with the fear that someday we are going to lose because 10% of our population that is pro-federalist is going to win. That's number one. So let me break it down in terms of where we're going. And it's interesting that a lot of this conversation is so focused on the federalists, and I'm not hearing anything about the civil society caucus.
We are coming there. We just started. We're getting there.
I'll start from there. As far back as the 60s, Ahijo understood that the power of the Southern Cameroonians and Amazonians lay in their beliefs or their adherence to 2 key leadership groups. The one is the traditional ruler. The second is the church. The members of our community who are still traditionalists would fall under their traditional ruler, and that's the person that leads them.
And that's what you refer to as a civil society.
Those who disengage from the traditional rulers would follow their churches. And so over the years, the past 60 years, the regime in Yaoundé has worked tirelessly to ensure that it co-opts and brings these 2 groups under its wings and ensure that they stay stranded and handcuffed to the regime. What has happened over the past 7-8 years is that we have not gone out there and deliberately cultivated a relationship with these groups.
But
what we have done is alienated them.
Hold on there. Hold your thought there.
Let me finish.
Just hold your thought there.
By doing
because
that,
I don't want us
we have alienated a very important actor.
Yeah, hold on there. I don't know whether it is accurate to say somebody has been alienated on the ground.
Oh, I can give you lots of examples.
Because I
can give you lots of examples.
You cannot go on ground zero and try to even, say what you are saying here. You and I, we cannot go there and do that. Whoever exists on the ground, be it the chiefs, you have seen what the religious leaders are saying on the ground. They are there canvassing their congregations to go out and participate in the elections. You have the civil society, the Agbobalas, and the rest on the ground. Yes. They can't say anything that is antagonistic of the regime that is there.
Thank you very much.
Our funds, our chiefs, they are all under the paycheck of the regime. So I do not understand when you want to inculcate them into this process. How do you think with the regime still in place, you can get them to work with you and defend Amazonia?
Oh, there are lots of ways. I can give you lots of examples.
Give us a few.
Number one, you asked the question, let me answer. They are under the payroll of the regime, which might be true, but it is wrong. And that's
it is true. There's no question of maybe. It is true.
This is the problem with generalization. By assuming that all the chiefs are corrupt and all the pastors and priests are corrupt, that's where we get it wrong. And we have not cultivated the relationship with them that we should. And everybody, well, not everybody, most resistance know that people who are under the yoke of the regime they are in will have to work with those people who are under the yoke by night. So, guerrilla movement, what does that mean? It means the person who is a farmer by day and is a soldier by night. The fund that is being condemned as being corrupt might be doing so because they are under duress, they are being coerced. It is our responsibility to find ways to work with them at night because they can. And if they don't want, then of course we've tried. The question is, are we doing it? So let me put it in this manner. The civil, and I'll give an analogy, and another analogy of one of my professors at university. He said the problem with the Anglophone in Cameroon today, and this is 30 years ago, is that he believes in the spoken word. When he gives his word is his bond. He believes in what he says. And a handshake for him is his honor. The Francophone, on the other hand, dwells on trickery, on deceit. And so the Francophone operates on the basis of deceiving the interlocutor in order to gain what they want. What has happened over the years is that our people, after over 60 years of socialization, have learned to be deceitful in the way they operate. So the person who is part of the regime today, and I don't know if you've had the opportunity to meet some of these guys, hardcore supporters or members, I shouldn't say supporters, members of the regime, have the opportunity to talk to them in confidence. And you would be shocked at how much they detest the regime. What are we doing to make use of these people who are inside of the regime, who hate the regime, and who could potentially be allies and work with us? So our approach to this is very simple. We are going to broaden our circle of friends. Talk to the people we can work with. Not everybody will agree to work with us, but we will broaden our circle of friends on ground zero. We will rebuild the resistance, we will rebuild the hope of our people by reaching out to those people who have got influence. We'll talk to them. The person who says they are federalists today in Cameroon, they are saying that because federalism finally has become that which is tolerable in the eyes of the regime. 2016, 2017.
Well, that is another statement. If you assume it is tolerable in the face of the regime, remember, it was not tolerable when they had their grand national dialogue, right? Those who tried raising the subject of federalism were booed. You remember that?
What I'm trying to say is 2016, 2017, just by saying you were a federalist, got you arrested. Today, people can say they are federalists. So the stance of the average person in Cameroon has to be defined within the context in which they find themselves. It's easy for you and I to be brave from a safe distance. We can be in foreign countries in which we are protected and claim how much we are independentists and we cannot tolerate whoever else. The person who is under the yoke of that regime has to navigate through a whole lot of intricacies just to survive.
But how about the same federalist who is in the diaspora like you and I, but yet we don't see them doing anything. They don't congregate, have planning meetings, put out papers like you and I in the diaspora, we do.
But that's where you get it wrong. And I say the politics of exclusion makes you ignorant of what is going on.
Who is excluding who? Who is excluding who? Are we supposed to organize them?
No, you just asked the question. Let me answer.
Yeah, so the question, when you use the word exclusion, it is like somebody is saying, hey, we don't want to hear from you, we don't want to talk to you. They're supposed to organize themselves just as the independentists are doing. We have not seen any of that, and they are in the diaspora, like you and I.
They are organized, and that's why I'm saying, when you practice the politics of exclusion, you don't know what the other is doing. Until we reached out to the Federalists, we did not know what they were doing. Today, they have what is called the CCFGA.
That's an old organization. That's an old organization. It has been in place for like 3 years or so.
Thank you very much. So you, at least you know. So when you say they are doing nothing, they are not organized. They are organized. They have an organization that has federated, and by federated, is brought together.
How many states
all
do
the
they?
different,
How many
at
states?
least-
What is their plan? How many states? 10 states, 2 states, 3. How many states do they want?
Oh, so the first thing we are doing is that we have at least built a relationship with them to get to understand what they stand for. Now, when it comes to the states, I'm sure we've had those debates with them, and that's the whole idea of having the caucuses, to understand what they are doing and how they can be helpful to what we want to achieve. We have had to interact with them, and I've heard some say, "Oh, I don't mind if we ended up with a 4-state federation," but I've heard others say, "Absolutely not. When I say I'm a federalist, I'm for 2-state federation." So the one thing that is clear, the problem with generalization and, like I say, exclusion, there are many amongst us who claimed to be independentists. At the drop of the hat, they switch sides. So you need to understand that amongst the federalists, not everybody is 2-state federalists or 100% federalists. You will always have people who have got their own agenda. Our job, and that is what we as the Southern Cameroons Alliance are doing, is identifying true federalists and trying to work with them. And by true federalists, what
Who,
do I
in
mean?
your definition,
Those
is a true
who stand-
federalist?
Those who stand for genuine federalism, where they would fight for what our people are fighting for. And that means dragging our people out of Yaoundé and bringing them back home.
But I
Those
would
are true
suppose
federalists.
that before
the
you go
federalists are
about
saying-
forming alliances or caucuses with them, you would at least find out how many state federation do you stand for? Is it 4?
Chris, I'll
Is
just
it
answer
2?
that
Is it
question.
what? At least before
The
you
whole-
go into an alliance with them, shouldn't you
whole-
find out about what they stand for?
I disagree. I disagree.
So how do you
completely.
go about dealing with them
They
if
form a
not?
caucus. They form a caucus. That caucus has got a whole strand of different individuals and their beliefs. That is a caucus. Our role is to bring them closer so we get to know what they are up to. We do not determine, and let me be very clear. By the way,
Comrade, I think that
have you
is.
taken the time? Let me ask you the
I
question,
think
Christopher.
I think there is
Have you read
something
the MOU?
absolutely wrong with
Have
that
you read
because
the MOU?
yeah, go on.
Have you read the MOU?
I read the statement you put on. You didn't send me the MOU, but again, the question is: you are going in with
No,
these
it's
guys. You've not been able to answer
can't-
the question as to what they
cannot
stand
be-
for. Is that
you
not
cannot
something
be
you're
coming
supposed to
and
know
interview.
before you go into alliances with them?
You cannot be coming into an interview like this without taking the time to read the MOU. And
I
you
read your
know
statement.
that there is an MOU.
I
No,
read your
that's not a
statement.
statement.
Let
I
me
just
let
asked
me.
no, let me speak. You're not letting me speak, and I thought I was.
No,
your guest.
I am asking you
You
the
said-
question. Let me give you something here. Listen
Let
to
me
what
answer your
Professor
question. Let me answer
listen
your
to what
question.
Professor Anyangwe says about your statement. The confusion.
No, you haven't. Please.
No.
Christopher,
Listen,
please
I'm coming to you so you understand where we're coming from, where the
There is
people
a
are coming from.
memorandum of understanding. Did you read it?
I will let you answer the question. Hold on a second. Professor Anyangwe, right? The
Okay.
confusion by
you
confusionists
didn't read it.
must end. There are only two camps here: the independentists versus the dependentists. In this in this existential struggle, there is nothing like neutral persons or innocent neutral civil society individual. That is Professor Anyangwe. He says everyone must own up to their conviction as either for or against sovereign statehood of Ambazonia. The courageous ones standing up along with the armed defenders of Ambazonia are independentists. The problem here, comrade, is your inability to tell us exactly whether you are standing on the side of independence with the federalists or on the side of federalists with independents, including yourself.
Are you done? Can
I'm
I
done.
come in now?
Yes.
So you will allow me speak.
Go ahead. Come on. I'm asking the question, right? I don't want you to just make a narration without answering the question. Go ahead.
No. I don't know what the question was, but go back to what Professor Anyangwe said.
Okay.
The first
Professor
thing-
Anyangwe says there are only two
Christopher, let me
camps.
speak. I have listened to you. It's
All
my
right,
turn.
go ahead
No,
now. Go ahead and answer the question.
I heard you. Professor Anyangwe says that there are only two camps: those who are courageous enough to take a stance and those who are dependents. The first thing I would like to say is that um, Professor has got a right to his opinion, and his opinion must not be mine. That's the first thing. And it is okay to disagree. The second thing is that, like I've said before, it is easy to be brave from a safe distance. When somebody says, and this does not only apply to Professor Anyangwe, to you and to everybody else who is posing the argument of courage and being courageous, is that it is easy to be courageous from a safe distance. When you are in the diaspora, you can take a stance and say, I am courageous. The person that is on the ground has to take a stance that shows their survival. It is our responsibility to look for ways to bring them on board in spite of that stance, because we understand the duress under which they are operating. So I would want to state very clearly that while I do believe that we need to take clear stances, it is important also that all of this be nuanced based on our realities. So, independence and dependence, yes, but are we all Southern Cameroonians? Yes. And as all Southern Cameroonians, it is important that we find a way to get all our people working together, and that's what we are doing.
I get you, but you still do not answer the question as to what the people you are aligning with stand for.
Mm-hmm. We have got three caucuses. The first caucus is the pro-independence caucus. On that one, I'm sure you have no problem. Second one is the pro-federalist caucus. The pro-federalist caucus stands for a federal Cameroon, and that means they want to get out of the present contraption called Cameroon into a relationship with Cameroon that separates the southern Cameroons from La République du Cameroun.
How?
And the third caucus,
what is the form of state they are asking for? That is a question. What form of state are they asking for?
They're asking for a federation.
How many
What
states?
is a federation?
How many states?
I thought I've just answered that. Within the Federalist caucus, there are different strands of beliefs. There are those who believe in a two-state federation. There are those who believe in a four-state federation. There are those who believe, 10 states or whatever.
And
Now,
what do independentists believe in?
Independentists believe in an independent Southern Cameroon, Sambazonia.
So now you don't even know where the federalists, where they are headed to, because you don't know the direction. As you say, they believe in different forms of state.
No, you do not know. I have just articulated
I have
that
asked you
clearly.
what form of state? How many states? You said
What
they
was
believe
the
in
form
this,
of
they believe
state
in
got
that.
to do?
So how can
No.
an independentist, if you are not headed the same direction with the federalists, say that I am working with them? To what extent?
Are you even listening, or your
I'm
mind is just
listening.
made up to the point where you're concocting the same thing? I have explained very clearly.
Maybe I didn't get it, but let me ask a question. What is the form of state that federalists are asking for? At least they are in your caucuses. You would have had the time, the opportunity. You say you started this a year ago. What have you heard? What are they telling you is what they want? What form of state? 10, 2, 4 states?
Are you listening? Can I answer again?
Go on, please.
Because-
That's what I'm asking again.
What? So please listen, Christopher. I'm saying federalists have got a caucus. And I'll come to you, just don't interrupt me. Federalists have got a caucus. In that caucus, there are different strands of federalism. This question has been asked over and over by the independentists in the caucuses. The same question you're answering. Our understanding is that there are different strands of federalists. And like I said, There are those who are hardcore two-state federalists, and there are those who say they do not mind if the form of the state goes beyond the two states. Now, that is what the Federalist Caucus is made up of. What we are interested in is any actor that is going to work with us to defeat the Yaoundé regime. As long as they work with us and they want to make the move from Yaoundé back across the Mongo, we are going to work with them, whether they are going for a 50-state federation or not. And I've also articulated very clearly, I think at least twice, that we are doing this with the confidence that, having seen the different surveys that have taken place over the years, at least 80% of our people stand for independence, which means these federalists could be useful in defeating the regime, or at least defeating the status quo, but ultimately what would be the result would be determined by a referendum. And when it comes to a referendum, we are confident that we've got 80% of the support of the people. So the federalists will be useful in fighting the status quo and helping us to win, or at least gain a certain form of victory. Once we do that and we get to the referendum, we are confident that in terms of our numbers and the consistency of the surveys over the past 8 years, we will win because we've got the numbers. So,
if I may ask you, I think I get your answer now. Now, let me do a follow-up.
Thank you.
If you are working with the federalists and they get their independence, they get their federation, be it 10, 2, or 3, or 1, or whatever number of states they want. If they have it as you say, why would they then want to go in for a referendum when they've gotten what they want?
How do they get that? How would they get their 2 or 3
from the
state
Republic?
federation?
You think you think a federalist who is negotiating this with La Republic will go and say to La Republic, okay, if you just agree federalism, then we will put it at a referendum with the independentists? You think they are going to do that? Because a referendum doesn't come in there. Because they got what they want.
Let me give you a clear example, because I think a lot of the discussion is very academic. You know, when India was fighting for this independence, they had a similar situation, and I saw somebody ask a question around that. One person who was strongly in favor of India staying under the British Empire was Mahatma Gandhi. He wanted a federal system. When they realized that they could not defeat the British Empire in India, those who were the extremists, as they were called, who wanted an independent India, decided to merge with the federalists, the likes of Gandhi, to say, let's merge and fight against the British Empire. Ultimately, it was the merging of their forces that forced the British out of India. And guess who was the father of Indian independence? Gandhi. Because over time, he got to understand that I don't want to call it the regime, but the British in India were not talking to them in good faith. So, some who have taken on a federalist stance may either be doing it for selfish reasons, like you suggest, may be doing it out of ignorance, or for other reasons. The bottom line is, as long as they constitute a force that is opposed to the Yaoundé regime, they are useful for our struggle. And that is what matters. Now, as to the form of what they want to achieve is something that we will deal with when we get to cross the bridge. And like I've said, if we got to cross the bridge, then the bridge will be crossed through a referendum. Now, if tomorrow the Republic decides that I am going to offer you 3-state federation or a 7-state federation, and 10% of our population, for argument's sake, decide to take it, how does that change the fact that 90% is opposed to it? They will not force us to be part of it. So we are aware of that possibility. They have tried it with a special status and it failed. Why did they not succeed? Because even the people who went there thinking they were going to get something realized the regime was negotiating in bad faith. So we do this in confidence, knowing that we know where we're going. And yes, we are aware that here and there could be betrayal. But there has been betrayal with pro-independentists. Am I right? So Foncha was a pro-independent. What's the name of the other one in Maryland? Was as ostensibly independent. You will always get people who come into the midst of a whole with their own intentions. You are not going to condemn the whole because of a few individuals who tend to be traitors.
Yeah, but the question that is on the table is much. The question on the table is much more than that. The question is, you are joining the Federalists to demand, I don't know whether truly you want to end at independence, but you know as well as I do that you get the Federalists to negotiate a federal form of state with Cameroon. There will be nothing like a referendum that follows it. So the question becomes, who is the independentist? Are you just in the mix to help them attain this federalism?
I don't think I understand that question. I think it's a very simple thing. Let me put it. I don't think the question is logical. I've said this before. If it were all up to the Federalists, La République would have instituted its form of federalism long ago. The only reason it has not succeeded is because at least 80 to 85% of the population is against any system or form of state that is being imposed by the regime, in spite of the fact that a certain segment of our population might be in favor of it. So, La République will be forced to negotiate and talk to the independentists, whether she likes it or not.
Not after you have joined the Federalists to demand for federation, the gate federation. A lot of people will say the problem is solved.
Christopher, you are making assumptions. You keep saying
it's not assumption. It's very practical. I don't know why you can't see it.
No, listen, you are making assumptions on the basis of a document you have not read, which is something you should have done before.
Come on, you can just simply say it here, Milan. It's not about it's not about a document. This thing is as simple as 1, 2, 3. You are joining the Federalists they will be demanding a federal Cameroon. The question is, Cameroon is more prone to listening to them asking for federation than you asking for independence. The question becomes, let's assume Cameroon listens to them and they negotiate some form of federation. What would then move Cameroon to say, okay, let's do this independence thing now?
That is why I keep saying you are basing all of this on assumptions, on a memorandum of understanding.
Nothing written on stone anywhere.
Listen to me, you keep interrupting me. I let you speak. When I speak, let me speak. There is a memorandum of understanding that clearly defines what we are trying to achieve. You sit here as a journalist, and I listen to you criticize Mimi for doing yellow journalism. As a journalist, you should understand the brass tacks of what we are trying to do.
No, not when it is on this. We are dealing the difference between what we are talking about.
No, we are not going to do this. You will have to let me speak. When I speak, you give
go
me.
Go ahead and speak.
So you will let me speak. You keep saying, and that is an agenda, that you are joining the Federalists to go and beg or go and negotiate with the Republic. I think we need to be mature about this. I want to believe, and I know you've got your political agenda, but you are not playing a political agenda here. You're playing the role of a journalist, somebody who wants to understand the facts. And I'm saying we are working with the Federalists, and not the Federalists alone, like I said, civil society actors, to say we are not happy with the status quo, and we intend to change that status quo. As a result, we are going to build alliances with whoever is willing to move against the forces that are opposed to our force. Because over 7 years, our force alone has not been enough. So we will build the forces. And I can tell you this already, that This is only the beginning of the forces that we are going to bring into this. It is going to build and be bigger and more powerful over time. But one thing that is clear is that for us to win, we must increase our circle of friends and reduce our circle of enemies. This whole thing of no, you must be independentists and only independentists and win, it will never succeed. We have experimented with it over 8 years and we have failed. So this is what we are saying. We are going to build alliances. We're going to use these alliances to constitute a force, and those alliances are going to pave the way for leadership that will take our people to the destination. That's number one. The second thing I would like to make very clearly is that not everybody might agree with us, and it is perfectly okay to disagree. Now, those who understand what we are doing and believe in where we are going will come with us. We have long passed the stage where it's got to be unity with everybody at all costs. Who does not believe in what we are doing and disagree is perfectly in their right to disagree and follow their own path. Ultimately, we intend to get to Boya. And when we do, the doors will not be closed to anybody. We get to Boya, the doors will be open to everybody, and every single son and daughter of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia will be welcome to contribute to nation building. So ultimately, we know where we're going, we know what we're going to achieve.
What do you say? What do you say to Ambazonians who say Atam Milan is just trying to be opportunistic? He is just trying to do his own thing. Considering that, I'm sure you know of the Consultative Commission, that is the body that has every independentist movement within. Of course, a few are not there, but at least you know that the overwhelming majority are in there, and people would thought that you starting something will come up to say, okay, hey guys, I have this idea. Put it on the table, and we'll all sit down and see how we can refine that idea, add it, subtract it, run with it, all of us. But you didn't think about it doing that. You created, and you actually called it a collaboration front. And the main problem being that the collaboration front is with people who do not believe the same way you do. Whereas you have a bigger house there in the Consultative Commission that is trying to do exactly and much better than what you are doing. Why didn't you, what do you say to people out there who say, why didn't you consider working with the Consultative Commission, joining the Consultative Commission with the Southern Cameroon Alliance?
Okay. Your question is a twin question, and I'm going to, and this is the second time you've twinned the two of them. What would you say to Ambazonians who are saying that Milan Atam is being opportunistic? I would say, yes, I am. And so what? There is a very simple answer to that. We have had 7 years of abject failure, which basically says that there is a need for a clear path moving forward. And those who have been at the forefront of wanting at all means to be in charge have failed. And they need to acknowledge that they have failed and move aside so we can pave the way forward. Opportunistic, yes. And I'm very clear about this. We are putting in place a leadership team that will move our people out of bondage because our people have suffered enough. We are not being apologetic about that. So I hope that question has been answered. It's been asked twice. The second thing I'm going to tell you with regards to consulting the Consultative Commission. I believe that Dr. Neba Fontem is a member, or at least a leader, of the Consultative Commission. One of the first persons, if not the first person I spoke to about this project last year was Dr. Neba Fontem, to whom I explained exactly what we are trying to do and saying we will have to broaden our coalition, broaden our base in order to defeat La République by extending what we are doing and bringing our brothers and sisters who may not have the exact same political ideology as us, but who constitute a force that could be useful because our struggle, our liberation struggle has stagnated. spoke to him in person. Follow that in July or August of last year, when we sent out invitations to the different umbrella groups to be part of what we are trying to do. The first group to which we sent an invitation was the Consultative Commission. I sent it through Neba Fontem. And can you hear me? Because I need
Yes,
to
I
know
can
that
hear
you
you.
can hear me. Okay. That invitation, I did a follow-up with him, and I asked him, did you receive the invitation? And he said, yes, we did. We had a meeting, we deliberated upon it, but we have not yet concluded. And I spoke to one other member of the consultative commission who also told me that yes, we had a meeting, we discussed it, but I cannot remember what decision was taken. Now, that for me is too much. It's much information for me to misinterpret what it is. We sent an official correspondence. It was not by word of mouth or on a phone call. The evidence is there. So I am aware, I can tell you. And if you tell me that you are a member of the consultative commission, then I am also assuming, I say assuming, that you were part of that meeting that discussed it. Now, if you were not there, you should know, let it be placed on record that we did contact the consultative commission. That's number one. Secondly, over the past month, and I just need to let you know that as a follow-up to the MOU that we signed, we are organizing a leadership summit in April. We have a very long list of invitees who will be part of this. We took the decision to include Neba Fontem amongst the guests because we understood that in spite of the fact that the consultative commission never responded to us, to our invitation, we still think that his participation will have at least somebody from the consultative commission. And for your information, when you say it's the biggest group, I'm not going to get into the politics of one group or the other. What we did was that we tried to contact all the umbrella groups to be able to form the caucuses. Among the pro-independent groups, we consulted the consultative commission. The same invitation that we sent to the consultative commission, we sent to AMHED, we sent to the SCPC. The SCPC is a spin-off of the Canada process 2 years ago. And when you talk about big groups, I am made to understand that the SCPC at the end of the Canada process was made up of 34 groups, 34 groups of 34 organizations.
And that is a problem.
The SCPC accepted our invitation, has participated consistently in our meetings to the point that we are in today. Now, as a follow-up to your question, the door is not closed to anybody. The caucuses have been constituted, and we have said the doors remain open. If you are pro-independent and you are all for independence, there is a caucus to which you can align. If you are pro-federalist, there is a caucus to which you can align. And if you don't want to be seen to align to any political grouping, then there is a civil society caucus, gives you an umbrella to which you can belong without being seen to be a threat. Or you can't be only interested in humanitarian issues. You want to contribute to refugee issues, join the civil society caucus, but there is space for everybody in the caucuses. So just to answer as a wrap up to your question, yes, the consultative commission was approached. An official correspondence was written and sent to the consultative commission. I have it on record, written, that a meeting took place to discuss the invitation. We never got any feedback, either in writing or through a phone call. So we didn't do that because it was the biggest group. We did it because it was one of the umbrella groups within our community that we thought was important to approach.
This is the problem with your meeting or your approach with the consultative commission. You approach the consultative commission for it to join you, not you who is starting something new, coming to the consultative commission to say, hey, comrades, I'm coming up with something I think we can band together as a team and look into it. That wasn't the approach. The approach was come and join us and let's do this. That is number one. I spoke with Dr. Neba Fontem actually yesterday, and he has very little knowledge of the details you are talking about. But you raise the question from the beginning of your answer of groups and leaders who have failed for the past 7, 8 years, and now there is an opportunity for something new to happen, which you want to pick up from the ground. Comrade, you know, as I said from the beginning, that at the beginning of this independent struggle, you were the architect of almost everything from the beginning. You and members of the consortium who fled Cameroon, moved to Nigeria, and then from there we transited to the governing council, from the governing council to the interim government. You were at the center and you perhaps drafted every document that created the current structure. Then, suddenly you disappeared. Not even after a year, and not even a year after that. That is precisely when Sisiko and others, they were picked up. And I must say that Ambazonians have been very disappointed that since then, neither you nor Nalowa has come out to address Ambazonians in a forum like this to say, this is what happened when Sisiko was picked up. I know you granted some discussion in some little forums out there, but Ambazonians expected you and Nalowa in particular to step out in the public and say to Ambazonia, this is what happened. That did not happen, but you walked away from the struggle. I know you said that you were fired from the struggle. I don't know who fired you. Nobody can be fired from the struggle. We are all stakeholders. But this is a question. But this is my, of course, we're all stakeholders. But this is my question. You walked away, it's been 7 years. If some of the leaders who are now condemning to have failed did not stay in and hold it on, where will you be returning to?
Okay, are you done? Can I come in?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
I try to make sure that I don't leave anything behind. Because when you make statements and glide over them quickly and move to something else, you plant a seed and then you move on. And I've dealt with this with you for the past 7, 8 years. Me accepting to come on to this interview is to say, moving forward, I'm walking into the devil's den and we're going to deal with it there. So let me tell you something. You said when we invited the consultative commission, we invited a commission that was already in existence to come and join us, and a commission that was there before. When you speak, sometimes I wonder if you do it out of ignorance or out of dishonesty, because the Southern Cameroons Alliance existed long before the Consultative Commission. In fact, Dr. Neba Fontem was the founding Secretary General of the Southern Cameroons Alliance. That's the first thing. Secondly, our invitation to the Consultative Commission was not to come and join us. And like I said again, read those documents, do your homework, because it will help you to understand better. It was an invitation to come and discuss the state of our struggle and how we can move it forward together. The document is there, and if if Dr. Fontem says he never received it, I can send it to you again. But the third thing that stood out for me very clearly and is that suddenly you remember that we actually did send you an invitation. The only
No, I did
problem
not.
is that that
Except you
invitation
sent it to somebody else,
is
not to me. I didn't receive anything.
No, when I say you are a member of the Consultative Commission. You remember
Yes.
that we did send you an invitation. It just did not carry the message that you wanted. So I'm happy that it is on record that the Consultative Commission was invited, because in your monologue that spanned about 11 minutes, plus this interview, you have made it clear that the Consultative Commission that comprises the vast majority of the pro-independence movement was never invited. So I just wanted to put on that you are aware, you are a member, and you were part of that meeting. Now let's move on to your next question.
Let me clarify
You were
that.
part
Let
of
me
the
clarify
struggle
that.
for-
Let
and
me
then for the past
clarify that.
7 years-
Let me clarify that. You are right. I'm a member of
Yes,
the
clarify that,
Consultative
if I may.
Commission. But to be honest with you, we have not in a meeting where I am present, received or read any invitation letter coming from you And even if we did, we would say to you, comrade, come into the consultative commission. Let's sit down in a meeting and discuss, not through letters.
Okay, it's okay. You did not receive it, but I say there is evidence that we did send it. Lots of evidence, ample evidence, including a follow-up conversation to say, did you see the letter? And the response saying, yes, we saw the letter. Yes, we had a meeting. We discussed it, but we have not finalized. So I can tell you that because we've got the evidence. But let's move away from that. I think I have clarified that. Now, you were part of the struggle, you were at the origin, you were this and that, and then suddenly you disappeared. And now you're coming back. This is not the first time you've made that statement. Now, like I said, I came into this interview and I've done my very best to be very civil and not go back to old wounds and dig up graves that have been.
You have to understand the premise of that question. Please understand the premise of every question I bring to you. I brought that on because you said for 7 years, those who have led it have failed. And I'm asking you, if they have failed, when you were away, what were you planning to come back to?
Well, you come back to your rebuild. When those who have led it for 7 years thought they were going to hijack the ship, how can you want to run a ship when you're not a captain? You've never sailed before. That's basically what happened. Okay. So let's make it very, I don't want to get into that, right? It's a very simple thing. And like I said, I've tried to be civil. I don't want to go into the litany of lies and concoction and every day. Milan met with Chiroma. Milan organized a meeting in Philadelphia and brought General or Colonel Mbampi and so on. I don't want to get into that. It's very petty, right? I took a deliberate decision to move away from mainstream leadership of the struggle and let the hyenas run it. And we know where it's taken us. But I have never been out of the struggle. For your information, when my comrades got arrested in Nigeria, and you, Christopher, you were one of the champions who started propagating, deliberately so, that Milan sold them.
No, please, be honest to us. I am so grown up to make the. If you listen to my, hold on, comrade, I hear you. If you watch my show last Monday, if you watch my, hold on, I want to correct that mistake. If you watch my show last Monday, when a caller,
please let me speak.
Hold on, let me make the point. When you make a statement that is inaccurate, I think I should correct it. Hold on, comrade. You have all the time. You have all the time to answer my questions. Listen, for you to sit there and said Chris propagated the idea that it was Milan who orchestrated the abduction of Sissoko and the rest, I think that is really, really petite. Last Monday, a caller called in here and said Milan was the one who orchestrated the abduction. I actually stopped him. The video is still there running online. I actually stopped him and said, hey, we may disagree on different things, but I would not appreciate people calling people's name and framing up stories about them. So please, it is good that when you come on a show like this, try to be as honest as you can be. Go ahead.
No. I am aware because I got feedback on that. What the program that you did last week, and it would have been nice if you called me first to clarify, like you're doing now, before you're doing a program like that. I got the feedback, and I got somebody brief me and say somebody called and you stopped them. So I know
exactly. So how would you sit there and then say that it was Chris who started the argument about, who started the propaganda about you selling Sissoko? How can you even think about that after hearing that?
You did. I mean, you've done that online. When you come and deny now, I am assuming that there are 8 million Southern Cameroonians and Bazonians who are listening to your program. I'm just assuming you're making a fool of them because people know what you said. So let's not go back to the past, right?
Okay.
Let's deal with the present. And that present, basically, you're saying during these 7 years, you haven't come back, and so on. And I was saying, I have never left the struggle. I have just chosen where to make my contributions. Number one, when a certain group of people were clamoring and putting knives in each other's backs to gain positions within what was called the IG. And I can still remember that for 3 straight months or 4 after the abduction in Nigeria, not a single person, not my comrades in South Africa, not anybody anywhere was even saying a thing about what is happening to these people. We need to. I had to, in spite of all the barrage of accusation and lies that Christopher Anu and a whole host of others were putting out there.
You didn't finish it. His Excellency, right?
His Excellency, the President now.
Yeah, right.
I still put in a team to that set up the Naira 10, the Free the Naira 10. But no, it was Naira 12 at the time. It actually started as Free the Naira 12 campaign, which became a major campaign over the years. 3 years ago, we have set up another campaign to which we make sure that we mobilize resources to feed our prisoners of conscience, or political prisoners, in all the prisoners, in Bafoussam, in Bamenda, in Boya, in Douala, and so on, Yaoundé. We make sure Southern Cameroon's Alliance has been operating since 2021. So, the fact that I did not go onto mainstream media and shout at the top of my voice did not mean that I left the struggle. I just chose to make my contribution to the struggle in a more efficient manner. And if we are sitting here talking today, like I said, if we did not do our publication last week, you wouldn't even know that we've been doing any work for the past 13 months.
All right,
consistently.
Please. Time is against us right now, and I have to open the phone lines for people to come to you. But let's get back to this, your initiative. Did you speak to Sisiko about your? Did you speak to Sisiko about your new initiative?
One of the things that we did was organize a meeting with the leadership in detention and brief them on what we are doing.
What was their opinion?
Before I go to that, you said, since they were abducted, neither Nalova nor myself have ever come forward. And again, that is disingenuous. Because I think I took the time and I worked on, I think, a 3-hour tape in which I gave minute by minute account of everything that happened. I didn't do it because I was seeking for approbation from anybody. I did it because it was important to set the record straight. Nalova has got to answer for what happened, because the facts that I got now have just multiplied in terms of what the role she played. And I think if there are 2 individuals who can tell us exactly what happened, the missing piece for me is the fact that I still haven't had that conversation with Sisiko Ayuktabe to say, what do you know? Once I get that piece from him, I've completed, my final piece of the puzzle has been completed. So it's very disingenuous to come now and you told somebody 2 days ago, no, don't do that. But you come in now and you say, since this abduction happened, you have never said anything. And
no, that is true. The fact you made a 3 hours or 2 hours tape doesn't mean you were coming in the forum like this one. For example, SCBC was there in South Africa. You would have used go on SCBC to say, fellow Ambazonians, this is what happened. But let's leave it there. I don't want us to go back and litigate that because it's long gone.
You do that and then you glide. I did an interview on SCBC. I did at least 5
all right. Maybe I'm forgotten. Hold it. Stay in there, comrade. Dennis Atem has just joined and has been listening, and I would like to bring him in to give us his take on your alliance with the Federalists and the Independentists. I'd like to get his take on what he thinks about this. So hold on, please. Dennis, it's good to have you, sir. You are muted. I think you are muted. No, we can't hear you. You are muted. Okay, I will let you. No, we can't hear. I will let you log out, and log back in. And we will take a brief break, ladies and gentlemen. Comrade Dennis, log out and log back in place.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for hanging in there. Dennis is now connected, and I want to believe you have been listening to Milan on his formation, the pro-independent caucus of Federalists and the civil society. What is your take on what you've heard so far, please? It appears that we can hear you. No, you muted. Open. Whatever you did, you muted. No, whatever you touched there, you muted your mic. No, sir, we can hear you. I can only see your lips. I can see your lips moving, but we can't hear you. You touched something a moment ago, and you turned off your volume. Maybe you maybe turn back, log out and log back in again, as you did. No, I can't hear you. Just log out, log back in. All right. All right. I will bring back Milan to see why we try to get Dennis reconnected. No, Dennis, I can't. Your audio is not on. It is not on, sir. It was looking good when you logged back in, but no, right now, not even an indicator. I see you are trying to use. No, sir. I see you are trying to use a headset or so. Why not use the microphone of your camera? Then you will need to unplug that and focus on the microphone on your camera. Log out, log back in, and use the microphone on your camera. All right, let me get back to Milan while Dennis tries to connect. Milan, let me get back to you on this. Now, I read your statement announcing the MOU with the other caucuses, and nowhere in your statement did you mention the name Ambazonia, not for once. I think Dennis is connected.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, perfect. Go on, please. Go on.
Okay. Thank you very much, Comrade Chris, and Comrade Milan. Welcome to the show. I've had a lot of. I've been listening to discussion, and it is quite interesting to hear the elaborate analogies that Comrade Milan has made with respect to the alliance between independentists and federalists. To tell you the truth, I don't believe one word of it because it is clear to me. If I ask myself the simple question, Can the Federalists and Independentists form one party to go and negotiate with the government? The answer is no. He has not succeeded to give us one single area where he can work with the Federalists. He tells us that the Federalists, they can work with the Federalists because the Federalists want the system changed. That is true, but they don't want it changed in the way you want it changed. That is a fact. And he has mentioned twice that the matter will be resolved by referendum. What does that tell us? It tells us everybody with this alliance completely irrelevant. A referendum makes this alliance completely irrelevant. If you wanted to add the number of people that the surveys have shown repeatedly that want independence, you will only prepare more arguments to convince more people rather than align with federalists. Because federalists, whether you like it or not, you cannot sit down with them. Will federalists in holding their meeting call in the independencies? No, they'll be leaking out their secrets or whatever they want to do to independentists. Independentists too will not call federalists when they are having their own meeting because they know that federalists are in bed with La République du Cameroon. Those are people who believe in one and indivisible Cameroon. Independentists don't believe in one and indivisible Cameroon. So I don't see how it is possible for federalists to go in bed with independentists. No, or independentists to align with federalists. That's not possible. There's so much that, in fact, there's so much on my mind that I don't know where to begin to unentangle the confusion because there's clear confusion here when you say that you can work with federalists. Where will you work with federalists? Tell me start one single occasion where you, in holding your meeting, you call in the federalists to come and sit so that you can strategize together. Let us understand. So I do not know where this whole idea came from. Is it the independentists who approached the Federalists or the Federalists who approached the independentists? I don't know. And let me also say something about this MOU. This is the first time I am seeing an MOU not signed by specific individuals and organizations, but categories of people. You cannot say I am a pro-independence caucus. How many people are in that pro-independence caucus? Which are the organizations in it? In the same way, you cannot speak of the civil society's caucus. Who are they? Who are they? And can I just assume that I am the leader of the pro-independence caucus and come and sign a memorandum on behalf of every independence group that will join that caucus? No, that's not possible. That is not possible. You don't sign an MOU with categories of people. It's like women signing, you sign an MOU on behalf of women. You sign an MOU on behalf of blacks. No, that's not possible. That is not possible. It must be either a specific individual or a specific organization. So I do not see how it is possible for this kind of thing to come up where people say they have signed a memorandum of understanding for civil society caucus, pro-independence caucus. In fact, in the whole of the MOU, the only organized group is the alliance. Apart from the alliance that it can be identified, the pro-independence caucus cannot be identified, the federalist caucus cannot be identified, the civil society caucus cannot be identified. Now, does that tell us that the alliance and the civil society caucus, what is their own position? As far as this conflict is concerned, we have identified only the federalists and the independentists. Now you list the civil society and alliance without saying where they belong. So, do the alliance belong to the independentists? Why are they not just lumped together with all the other independentists? Why are they listed separately? So, you see, there's so much involved in this matter. I do not know where to begin to handle it, but let us be sincere about what we are doing. Um, Comrade Chris has asked why, with all the multiple independence organizations that exist in this struggle, the alliance could only see this group that it has formed an MOU, it has signed an MOU with. I don't know whether that is the correct way to go if we were actually working towards building for the success of the struggle. You may condemn the existing leaders and say they have failed, but this was a moment where everybody is coming together and saying, let us form a common movement to see how we can reverse the situation. And again, I see in the the press release is saying that they are forming that, they are signing that MOU for engagement and a common vision. What's the common vision between the Federalists and the Independentists? And when you go to approach to engage the external, the international community, what are you going to say? Independentists will be saying their own thing, and Federalists will be saying their own thing. Is that what? Is that the unity that we want to work towards? I don't know. So I don't know. Comrade Milan should look at this matter well because all the words are irrelevant. All the words are irrelevant. The whole press release is a big revelation of the fact that something is cooking under that the words are trying to hide, and the words cannot hide it. The words cannot hide it. That's just the reality. So it is a sad moment for me because I did not expect that we should be at this moment be dividing ourselves and be forming new groups, whether it is to supplant the existing ones or whether it is because the existing ones have failed and so on. So I don't buy that idea whatsoever. I don't buy that idea. I
Before
don't
I
buy
get
that
back,
idea.
before I get back to Milan, Dennis, let me ask you if I got Milan right. He said he's hoping that, assuming the Federalists secure some form of federation from La République du Cameroon, then the question of a referendum comes up there. Do you see the chances of Federalists securing a federation? I don't care what format or what form of state. Do you see that happening, and then a referendum following after that, persuaded by independentists? Could be Milan or me or you. What is your take on that?
No, first of all, let's just ask Milan to tell us whether the Federalists is working with have accepted even the idea of referendum. Because I have spoken to many Federalists, they believe that they are only asking La Republique. You see, there are people who actually our forefathers rendered their lives to La Republique for La Republique to be the sole decision maker to decide what the Southern Cameroons have. If you look at the Folons, the Fonchas, everybody was making a petition to La République du Cameroon for La République du Cameroon to decide our fate for us. And that is where the mistake was. Nobody ever believed that we could take a decision and say we are going to determine our own fate. The idea of self-determination did not cross their minds. It was La République du Cameroon. Everybody was begging this or begging that from La République du Cameroon. So La République du Cameroon just ignored us. Now it comes to this issue of referendum. Miller should tell us, have the Federalists is working with accepted the idea of referendum at all? Because they have never, with all of those I've spoken to, they never accepted the idea of referendum. For them, the federation was going to be granted by La République du Cameroon, and La République was going to determine the form of federation that it will give. Because if they said now that they were going to negotiate a federation with La République du Cameroon, were they going to do that with the independentists? Let Milan tell us. Will the Federalists, in negotiating for a federation, invite the independentists to accompany them? Let him tell us.
All right, let
So,
Milan take the question.
yes,
Okay, can I come in?
Yes, please.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot, Comrade Dennis. Thank you very much for your intervention. Thanks also for the very, very long messages that you sent me. I received all of them and I've read them. And I see your position, which is okay. Now, when I listen to you, I keep getting, and I got the same thing from Christopher, that we are forming an alliance with the Federalists to go and negotiate with La République. I don't know where this obsession with everything we do is to go to La République. And I just explained at the beginning of this program that our key goal is to win our people away from La Republic, is basically to destabilize the status quo, which is very clear. So I disagree with you that we are trying to go negotiate some form of state with La Republic. We haven't even gotten to the point that we are talking about that. That's number one. Christopher then goes ahead and says, I just agreed here that if the federalists negotiate some kind of federation with the regime, then we are going to end up with a referendum. I don't remember saying that. And I keep saying, I get the impression that you're coming in with a particular mindset that has got nothing to do with what we want.
Comrade, that is what you said when you explained the concept of working with the federalists.
I didn't come in. Please, let me speak. We are saying we have got a liberation struggle that has stagnated, and it's important that we find ways, creative ways, and other ways of getting solutions to that problem. We need to get into a politics of inclusion, not exclusion. And I will give you a number of points of convergence that unites. And when I listen to this, listen to you guys, I get the feeling that federalists are the child of some other mother. They don't belong. They are Southern Cameroonians. And so the first point of convergence is that we are all Southern Cameroonians. And so whatever decision we are taking on our land, our country, we are going to take it together. Whether we like each other or not, whether we agree politically or not, everybody is going to get to have a say. And our intention is to make sure that we start converging our voices and find a way forward, in spite
Comrade, hold on there. I'm so sorry. We are being cut out of time.
Number two, we are all opposed to the same enemy. Number two. Number three is that we share the same fate. When these beer soldiers go into the villages and burn the villages, they don't burn this house and say because you're pro-independence and that one you're federalist. They burn all our houses and all our mothers, our sisters, everybody becomes a victim. We all have got a responsibility to find a solution to that problem. We have got our people who are refugees and internal displaced persons. We all have the responsibility. You have asked the question over and over, what are the federalists doing? What have they done? We are asking them the same question. What have you done? What are you doing? Come and join us so we address these issues. Our people are in refugee camps. We have not been able to find solutions to the problem. Come and join us so we can do it. They have that responsibility. They will join us to do it. We are all trying to alleviate the suffering of our people. And ultimately, we know that the only way, based on the experience we've had over the past 8 years, the only way you can force independence is by the barrel of the gun. And the barrel of the gun, as it stays today, has not been able to give us that.
Well, it doesn't have to do it now. Comrade, I'm sorry, we're really running out of time, and I still have... Hold on. Dennis, hold on. We are really running out of time, and I still have to open the phone for at least 10 minutes. But, Milan, I put it this way. In the words of Professor Anyangwe, there are only two camps in this struggle, the independentists and the one Cameroonese. If I were in your position, I would pitch my tent with the other independentists, not fighting against federalists. I will say to them, hey, I don't disagree with you. It is your opinion. It is the way you want to see things, but you are on the camp of Cameroon. Why not go ahead, prevail on Cameroon as much as you can? We will meet on the dialogue table, negotiation table, and maybe we'll put our two options before the people in a referendum to decide. Then for you to go mixed up with them, they don't even agree with you, you don't agree with them, the roads are parallel, you're not meeting anywhere. I think that is what I'm articulating here is the way most people look at it. Let federalists, which were not opposing them, meet with Cameroon and say, Cameroon.
Exactly.
Yeah, go on, Dennis.
We do not oppose federalists. No. We have said that because independentists are not the only Southern Cameroonians. All Southern Cameroonians are entitled to their own opinion. We have unionists, we have federalists, we have independentists. These are the three trends of thought in the Southern Cameroons. And we say to each other,
Mhm.
please have your own opinion, try to convince our people about what you believe in. And we say that
Mhm.
because we are not the only Southern Cameroonians, the best way to resolve this thing is to ask our people
Mhm.
to speak for themselves. Not for me to impose my own opinion or for you to impose your own, but to allow our people to choose. This is the foundation of a referendum. This is the foundation of a referendum. Now,
So can
given
I
that
come
each
in?
person will speak for himself, why are you now not
Mhm.
aligned with even the other independentists or going to strengthen the number of votes for independence, but going to align with federalists? Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Are you done? Can I
No,
come
it
in?
doesn't.
Absolute sense.
Yes, yes.
Can I come in?
Yes, go on.
Yes. Um, Christopher says, Professor Anyangwe says there are only two strains of thought. Dennis says there are three. And this is where we need to start understanding that we do not, that's been the problem of our
No,
struggle.
no,
We do
comrade,
not
again, I'm
have the same
sorry to
narrative. Please don't
interrupt
interrupt
you,
me.
but that is an effort to confuse the listener. Professor Anyangwe and Dennis, they are saying essentially the same thing. You either they are three or they are
Can
four,
I
or they
come
are
in?
five, but you are either for independence or in the camp with the Republic of Cameroon where there are divergent views. Among us independentists, there are no divergent views.
Can I come in,
Come
Christopher?
in,
And can
come
you
in,
not interrupt me?
come in.
I disagree with Professor just like I disagree with Dennis.
Yeah,
And
but
they
don't say
have
they
got
are
the
two
right to
different
disagree with
things.
me. Please listen to me. They have got the right to disagree, but that does not mean that because we disagree, we will not pursue what we believe in. I disagree that because we are not on the same with federalists. They should do their own thing. We should do our own thing. We have experimented with that for 8 years. It has failed. And anybody who is arguing with me today should be arguing and telling me, I disagree with you. This is the alternative. What I keep getting is, I disagree, I disagree. Let's continue to maintain the status quo in which we have been for the past 8 years. And that is why we keep failing. So I am saying this, we need to have a politics of inclusion as long as that politics is against the regime that has hold our
Comrade,
people,
have
that
you
has
ever
kept
heard the
in
proverb,
poverty.
unless two agree, they cannot work
Of
together?
course. You can only
If we
include
did
with
not
people who go along
agree,
with
if
you.
we did not agree, if we did not agree, we will not have a memorandum of understanding.
No,
So because there is agreement,
the
there is,
fact is that federalists agree with the Republic. You and I, if you are honest that you stand for independence, then you and I, we agree. Why can't we form
no, no, you
a
are making
party and
assumptions.
go
I
after those we
disagree.
disagree with?
No, 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 no. This is the problem, is the assumption that federalists agree with La République.
Yes.
Denis says that the federalists he has spoken to, they are all with La République. Now he's probably talking to federalists that are different from the ones I'm talking to, and the ones that we've spoken to,
Are
because
they
there
for
are
independence?
federalists who are completely opposed. No, they're not. And I gave the analogy that a federalist who is, and I gave two examples. There is the federalist who says they are for a return to the 1961 dispensation. And I gave the analogy
That
of
is not
saying they
independence.
want to go across the Mungo Bridge. Listen, they want to go across the Mungo Bridge, and that's where they stop. There is a second group of people who have taken on a federalist stance because of the situation in which they find themselves. You are in Yaoundé, you are in Bamenda, or wherever in Boya, you know that you cannot go out there like we are doing in the diaspora. We are being bred from a safe distance. When you are in the den of the lion, you're going to have to adapt. And part of that adaptation is saying, I'm taking a federalist stance because it says I'm opposed to the regime and the status quo, but I'm not going to do something that will land me in jail. And we should be in a position to understand the position of those people. That not everybody who says they are, are federalists in the true sense, they are merely dealing with the situation in which they find themselves. Our role and what we are doing is saying, let's go out there and dig our brothers and sisters who may find themselves in this position and willing to work with us. Not every federalist is going to come on board and work with us. And we have to accept that. But those who are willing to work with us, we're going to move forward. Same with the pro independence. You keep saying, why don't you try and consolidate? I say, 8 years we have been doing this over and over. We want unity at all costs, even though we keep doing it over and over and it's failing over and over. I've just given examples here. We have approached groups, umbrella groups, and say, comrades, let's come together and talk about this. They completely ignore our invitation. And each time we have been invited, we've gone to the meetings.
All right, comrade, let's end it there. Unfortunately, time is up. Let's get to the phones now. Let's get to the phones and hear what people have to say out there. Hello. Hello, is this Sama?
Yes, I'm the one.
You are live, sir.
Okay, thank you. I just want to draw Milan's attention back to an example which he gave about the relationship between the people of Eritrea and the Tigrayans.
Make it 1 minute. Make it 1 minute because of time, please. And I see a lot of calls are coming in. Go on.
Okay, I will. The example between the Tigrayans and the Eritreans was a good alliance because the Tigrayans were fighting Mengistu while the people of Eritrea were fighting to gain their independence. So they find a common enemy to fight against. Had it been Milan who had made an alliance with a fighting group in La Republic that is fighting Bia, and the people of the Southern Cameroon are fighting to liberate themselves, that would have been a good alliance. But Mr. Milan's alliance with the Federalists is, let me put it this way, the banquet table of a pig, and wants humans to participate in that banquet table, of which it is an impossibility. Federalists are La Republican citizens or part of La Republic, while Southern Cameroonians are independentists. And we are working on parallel lines which do not meet in any way. So how can Milan unite with these people that do not share the same ideology like Milan?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let me move to the next caller. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. I'm waiting.
Okay, yes, go on, please. Your voice is kind of low. Can you raise your voice a bit, please?
Yes, I'm at work.
All right, good. I can hear you now. Go on. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Maryland.
Maryland. All right, go on, sir.
All right. A very, very illuminating discussion. Thank you, Milan. Thank you, Chris and Dennis. Yes. So, as I said, it was a very illuminating discussion. Thank you, Milan, Dennis, and Chris.
Yes.
And so my question is for the panel. A few years back, Cardinal Toomey wanted to hold the All Anglophone Conference. So my question to Dennis is, Dennis, as an independentist, if Cardinal Toomey had organized the All Anglophone Conference, would you, Dennis and Chris, have attended? Question number one. For the last 3, 4, 5 years, Ambassador Thibault Nash has been singing on this particular TV that we want all Ambazonians or all Anglophones or all Southern Cameroonians to speak with one voice. What is it? Can Dennis and Chris point what initiative they have taken for all Ambazonians to speak in one voice? Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. Let me answer for myself first. Comrade, you asked about me attending any conference organized by Toomey, or just say the Federalists. Listen, the Federalists organize a conference and invite me. I will be there. Absolutely will be there. Does that change my stance? Of course not. But they are Ambazonians. I would say to them, Federalists, you believe in your conviction. Go ahead and do what you are doing. We're all fighting for freedom. We will go ahead and do what we are doing. Maybe when dialogue comes, when the negotiations come, we will meet somewhere. That is the way I will approach it. You asked what we have done to come together. I just talked about the Consultative Commission that has been doing some great work. In fact, a conference is coming up very soon made up of different AMBA leaders, the SCNC, APLM, the interim government, including Marianta, comrade. So That is what is happening. We want all of us to come under the umbrella and refine our direction and strategy. I will do that. I will give Milan. The question was asked to Dennis. Go on, please. Less than a minute, so we can get back to the cause.
I think we had already had AAC1 and AAC2. So Cardinal Tumi's conference would have been exactly like AAC1 and AAC2. That has nothing to do with, as long as you are calling a conference for all Southern Cameroonians will be there. But when it comes to political decisions, they will never agree. Each one will go their own way. That is the first thing. Now, coming to Tibon Nagi's demand for us to speak with one voice. Of course, he's speaking as a foreigner. We can never speak with one voice. I just gave you three trends of thought that exist in the Southern Cameroons: the independentists, federalists, and unionists. So, Southern Cameroonians can only speak with one voice when they believe in one thing. As long as they don't believe in one thing, it is impossible for them to speak with one voice. You see, because independentists will approach the foreigners with the independence demand. Federalists will approach with the federalist demand. Unionists will approach with the unionist demand if they even need to engage any center party. So let us be clear about this. Tibo is speaking as a foreigner, not as someone who understands the inner dynamics of the Southern Cameroons. Thank you.
So if I understand, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So if I understand,
I can hear you. I can hear you.
We were to successfully.
Okay. Hold on. Let Milan make a point, and then briefly I will get back to you, sir. Hold the line. Milan, go on.
Okay. No, but I agree with him completely. I think we continue to do the same thing over and over and over, and hoping to get the same and get a different result. One thing is clear, and I'm asking: so if we were to gain independence tomorrow, what would we do with all these federalists and unionists who happen not to agree with our political philosophy? Push them to Yaoundé and say you don't belong?
No, why would you do that? When a party wins election, what does it do with those who did not vote it? No, that doesn't arise at all. It doesn't arise.
Thank you.
It doesn't arise.
So thanks for your answer, Dennis. So basically what we are trying to do is ensure that we move forward with our brothers, in as much as we may not agree with them politically.
You cannot move forward because they're not going the same way.
We experimented for the past 8 years unsuccessfully with the politics of exclusion. We are now trying to rebuild. And in fact, it was always there. It's just the fact that this whole thing got derailed in all kinds of direction. It was always there that we talked to everybody. That's why I keep saying, from the beginning, as early as maybe January, February 2017, I kept saying, and then you would know this because you and I, we had lots of discussions, we had lots of debates, we disagreed on several things, we agreed on several things.
And I kept hold it there, comrade. Let's get to...
Please, let me finish. I kept insisting, broaden your circle of friends and lessen your circle of enemies. What we have done and what has made us not succeed is that we have broadened our circle of enemies and lessen our circle of friends. We are trying to change that. Over.
Well, unless two agree, they cannot work together. That is a simple answer there. Let's go back to the phones. Hello.
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 Hello, Comrade Grace.
Yes, sir. Where are you calling from?
Pennsylvania.
All right. Go on, please. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay. Yes, I've listened to Milan, and I'll ask just a few questions, brief questions. The first question: what happened to the first federation we had that we want to even contemplate the option of another federal structure with La Republic of Cameroon? Secondly, Milan has said that he is willing to work with anybody who is working towards bringing down La Republic of Cameroon. So my question is this: if you were to talk to Kamto and the Kawalas and the rest of them out there, they will say they are working for to bring down Paul Biya's regime as well. Should we now go and work with Kamto and Kawala and the rest, even as we seek to restore our independence? And thirdly, Milan says, well, we have to work with unionists and federalists and civil society, which is another code name for unionists. And my question is this: if we are traveling in a specific direction, say somebody is going to Yaoundé, another one is going to Bamenda, another one is going to Manfe, what is the use for us taking the same bus when we have different destinations? Shouldn't those who are going to Yaoundé take their own bus? Those who are going to Bamenda take their own bus? And those who are going to Manfe take their own bus? Does it make any sense? What is the resultant quest that he's seeking to achieve when he is working with federalists and unionists and then what he calls independentists?
All right.
And I don't know what he has defined of himself. Where does he fall? Is he an independentist? Because he sounds more like a federalist. So I would like for him to clarify those points.
All right. Thank you for the call. Thank you for the call.
Just one last point. One last point. When he says he's working with federalists, is he now? Has he received the agreement from the federalists that they are willing to simply assist him so that he can, at the end, get his independence while they come out empty-handed? And that's my last question.
All right, thank you. Let's get to the next caller before we round up this. Hello.
Comrade Chris.
Yes, sir. Where are you calling from, please?
This is Dr. G from South Africa. I was holding for to contribute, and then the line just dropped.
All right, go on, please. You have less than a minute. We really want to take as many of these calls as possible. Then Milan can come in at the end. Go on.
Right, so Comrade Chris, the analogy of the bus of people going in different direction, we are in one bus. It's called the Southern Cameroon bus, and we are supposed to be heading for the direction of the future of the Southern Cameroons. And the point that is being made is that if we are all in the Southern Cameroons bus, we need to come to terms with the fact that there are different people in that bus that have different ideas about the destination, but the bus must be on the move. And if we're all herding in, as Milan made the analogy, some people want to stop at the bridge, some people want to stop after the bridge, some people want to get to Boya. The idea is that the enemy of your enemy can be a potential ally. It's an emphasis on the process, not the outcome. If we do not emphasize on getting the process right, none of us will get the outcome that we desire. I think that's the silent point that is being made, that we need to start thinking about the fact that the bus is called the Southern Cameroons.
Ambazonia. It's not called the Southern Cameroons. It's called Ambazonia.
Different destinations, but they're sitting in the same bus called the Southern Cameroons.
It's Ambazonia, comrade. The Southern Cameroon language referred to 1961.
The presence of each person in that bus. Then the driver
listen, comrade. When you have the name wrong, you have everything wrong. When you use Southern Cameroons, you are referring to 1961 in the federal system. We are not heading to that direction. We're heading to Ambazonia. And so you cannot have different people taking one bus, not heading to Ambazonia, get into the same bus. That's the difference. Listen, let me get to other callers. Thank you for the call. Thank you for the call. Let me get others here, please. Hello. 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 Turn down the volume of your TV, please. Turn down the volume of your TV and focus on your phone.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Hello.
Please, if you can turn down the volume of your TV before you call, I'll go to the next caller. Hello. Hello.
You have everything wrong.
Please, before you call, you have to turn down the volume of your TV set and focus on your phone. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Chris.
Yes, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ground Zero.
Okay, and what is on your mind?
Yes, I just want to make a few comments as regards what Atta just has been saying, because he's just confusing himself. I'm afraid I wanted to make that remarks for him to be able to understand.
Okay, less than 1 minute. Less than 1 minute. Go on.
Very, very clearly. I want you to understand one thing very, very clearly. When La Republic goes in for the shots, that's killing of the Ambazonians, they do no selection. They don't come and stand there and identify you as a federalist, a unionist, or a separatist, or whatever you might want to call. And how on earth do you think you have to keep on making alliance with such people? And another remark is very simple. Do you know that our brothers, let me call them that way, of the Francophones, do not even want to have anything as far as federations are concerned? They made it very clear, even during the Grand National Monologue, that what they don't know is what we are calling federation. It was our business. We should continue with it. They have nothing to do with it. Why are you fighting to tie yourself to somebody who has dejected you? Mm-hmm. What is actually wrong with us? And do you know that La Republic even came to accept or start accepting the idea of federation just because of the effort we put during these 8 years?
You are very correct, very accurate.
Please think over your stand again and leave all these issues of saying we are crossing the Mongo. You cross the Mongo and you stay there to do what? When we cross the Mongo, we are going. That's
all right, thank you. Thank you
for your understanding, and I pray you would, in your further discussions, you change your mind. Please make up your mind and let us stand for one purpose. That is what we have been fighting for. We need to look at one direction and do one thing.
Right.
You cannot say, I'll take the bus, I'll jump out after the Mongo. Somebody will continue to wear.
All right, thank you.
And
thank you.
Was talking of, we are even talking of federation from our background, the cultural backgrounds we have. Why make a 4, a 5, a 10 state federation? It is of no use. That is not our goal.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Let me get to the next caller, please. Thank you. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Turn down the volume of your TV, please, and focus on your phone.
Hello.
Yes, go on. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the Scandinavia.
From where?
The Scandinavia.
Scandinavian. Okay. What is your contribution, sir?
Yes. Now, this is one thing. We keep on repeating one thing over and over. And there is one thing we have to understand for these 8 years we've been fighting. We need to understand our enemy, which is La Republique. As the former speaker just said, why do we keep on giving La Republique the bullets to shoot us on the foot? La Republique does not want to hear anything concerning a federation. La Republique does not want to negotiate. The only reason La Republique were forced to organize backdoor negotiations was because of the firepower on the ground. So I think what Amazonians have to do is to avoid all these selfish groupings they have created and try to put their forces in one and then amass all the financial resources and put guns on the fighters on the ground. That way, La Republique will be forced to come to the negotiation table as they did between 2018 and 2020. That is what should be understood. We should not be giving La Republique bullets to shoot us on the feet, because they do not want to hear anything. They do not want to negotiate on any federation. They are always saying that they have already solved the Southern Cameroon problem and they have moved on. Why do we form small groups and give them more energy to delay and delay and delay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Turn down the volume of your set, please, and focus on your phone.
Yeah, I've done just that.
Where are you calling from?
All of you over there.
Where are you calling from?
From Ground Zero.
All right, quickly, you have less than a minute. What do you have on mind?
Yeah, what I just want to make a point that those people called unionists and federalists, they're Confucianists and they're detractors. Let them best know. Milan, he could not be the one moving behind Sissoko, and Sissoko is in prison today as Somebody who's standing for total independence of Amazonia, and today is coming and preaching something else. He should not be talking like Judas who betrayed Jesus and choose the other side. You people are confusing us on the ground. The people on the ground are far more focused than most of those people called unionists and federalists out there. If they are not ready, if they are tired of the fight, they should quit and allow those who are still ready to fight. There are some people who fight to the end. There are some who give up on the way. If somebody has given up, let him just give up and go and sit quietly.
All right.
And allow those of us on the ground bearing the brunt every day to keep on with the fight. They should not be confusing us, because even at the end, they are not the people to decide on our behalf. When the time will come, especially through a referendum, we will tell them where we belong, and they know where we belong. Whatever business they have in our republic, they should just go and continue with them. Leave those who are for business to do the business.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I get the last call now, and we go from there. Hello.
Hello, Comrade Chris.
Yes, turn down the volume of your set, please. Turn down the volume of your set. Stay focus on the phone. Where are you calling from?
Yes, I just did that. I'm calling from Godkuchunya County.
All right. What is on your mind?
Yes, Comrade Chris, I'm really sorry we didn't have electricity. You know, we just connected now, and I said, let me see if the program is still going on. Okay, so I saw live calls. I just want to ask Milan some few questions.
Okay, go on.
Yes. I don't know. Where was Mr. Milan for these past 7 years? Where was he? And does he think that Southern Cameroonians were doomed? That he came back and think that he is the one who is going to pave the way for Southern Cameroonians to follow? And he should note that it's a question that I've asked. Now, this is some sort of an affirmation. He should know that when he left the struggle, people took it over, and that is why this struggle has reached this extent. So if he is coming in, if he's somebody who is intelligent, he has to align with those who took this struggle to this extent.
All right.
So I think that if he is struggling to instead like take another move, then he is coming to confuse us the more. Thank you.
Thank you. Milan, please, we have a total of 3 minutes left to call it. So I give you one, just whatever you can. Most of the questions they've asked, you already talked about them. Make your last point for 1 minute, and then get to Dennis and we'll go.
Okay, thank you very much. I would have expected that Dennis speaks and then I thought I was the guest. Let me answer the questions and then we can finalize, I hope.
Yeah, I start from you because the question were directed to you. Well.
Yeah, like you said, most of the questions, either they were irrelevant or they basically agreed with everything I had said. The first thing is, Mr. Ngokuchinja, like he said, came in late. Why he came in and said all the things he said, because I'm sure he didn't listen. Otherwise, he would have known that all of those things had been answered. The gentleman who said he's calling from Ground Zero also talked about the fact that when they go out, burn villages and shoot and so on, they do not discriminate, which is basically what I said. Again, a lot of confused scholars, because on the one hand, they agree with everything I'm saying, but they just happen to stick to what they want to stick to. The one thing that comes up, and I think somebody asked a question, so there were those questions regarding what the person asked about the bus going to Manfe, going to wherever. Another confused question, because I think I gave a very clear analogy as to where we stand on that. When somebody comes in and says La République is opposed to everything, opposed to federalism and so on, that already makes the federalist an opponent to the regime. And so I think it's Dr. Gabila who said, the enemy of your enemy is a potential ally. That's very clear. So where we are sitting with regards to this, and I just want to say that where we are sitting with this, we are working on the basis that, again, what a few people said, 7-8 years have not brought us the result we hope to get. That's number one. Number two, we have all, and at least I have always advocated for a politics of inclusion. We are doing that. Number three, is that we do not expect everybody to agree with us, and that we do not expect everybody to agree with us, but that doesn't stop us from where we are going. And I've heard a few people call in and talk about where was Milan and so on. Again, Milan has always been there playing his role, and he continues to. So ultimately, what will happen is that the Federalists are our brothers. They have a politics that is not opposed to ours. I want to make that very clearly. It's not opposed to ours.
It is opposed to ours. The destinations are not the same, comrade. Again, if you say that, then you are deceiving our people. If you say that, you are deceiving. If you say that, if you say they are not opposed to us, you are deceiving our people.
Our enemy is the regime. Our enemy is the regime, not our
correct.
Let's find
if you say they are our federalists are our people, you are correct. But if you say we are doing the same thing, you are not correct. But thank you. We're out of time. Let's get to Dennis. Dennis, please.
But there is a lot that we can do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me just say this. I will give our brother Milan a chance. He will evaluate the result of his memorandum of understanding, not today, but in a few years later. He will see whether he has succeeded to convince any of the federalists to change their position or what he wants. Now, let's just be clear about this. We know of blacklegs who will go and reveal you to the enemy to come and kill you. You cannot call that Southern Cameroonian because you come from the same country with them. They are willing to kill you for the benefit of the enemy. They are hiding behind the enemy, and for the advantages that they get from the enemy, they are willing to do anything against you. So let us be clear. There are people that we can consider as brothers and work with them, and there are people we cannot consider no matter what. So whether they come from the same mother as us or not, it is their policies and their actions that we look at. It is not because they are called Southern Cameroonians or Cameroonians. So let us be very clear about it. We know that you cannot travel in the same direction with people who are going to different destinations. So let us be aware. So I agree. Milan thinks that by aligning with federalists, we want to extend our circle of friends. No, we can make circle of friends without entering into alliances with them, like in a memorandum of understanding. We can do that. And that is what most other groups are doing. They talk peacefully to others, they convince them, they exchange papers with them, but they don't form memorandums of association with them. What Milan has done is really something that we cannot understand because only he can understand it. I cannot understand it.
Time is up against us. Thank you very much, Milan. Thank you for taking the time to join the show. Really appreciate it. I think we have done justice to this. Maybe some other time we may have to come back to it. But Milan, I want you to know you are welcome here. We may disagree in our opinion, but listen, what we try to do here on ABS is, as you know, we try to bring every shade of opinion, hoping that Ambazonians are educated to pick their own or to make their own choices. That's exactly what we do. That's why we will bring you and bring even Dr. Gavila, who just called a few minutes ago. We will bring everybody. As you said, we are all Ambazonians, but we can't all enter the same bus. Know that, because there are different destinations involved. But thank you for coming on, Dennis. It was great to have you. You guys have a great night, sirs. And that said, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you to the end of the broadcast tonight. You have a great weekend. I look forward to being back here on Monday. Good night.